Alright, so I'm going to do a quick rundown on this meter and how to set him. And our first thing we do is we go into the set. This is for setting the alarm. And we come over here and we punch in the number 1. That takes us to our alarm menu. J1, which is this guy right here. And J1 runs these. These are our relay outputs. J1 relay output and J2. As you see, number 19 is our common, and 18 is our always on, and 20 is our always off. So when we say always, it's off until the relay is engaged and then it comes on. So I just run a wire from my B positive 12 volts over to here, and then to my little buzzer here, and then to negative back from the other end of the buzzer. So I set, right now I've got my power supply hooked up. So, alright, so the first thing I do is I set my thing to read voltage. We can have it read amp hours, we can have it read amps, and we can have it read voltage, and we're going to set it for voltage. So I hit set, and now I go on to the next part of the menu, which is AH1. And this is a little confusing because you're probably thinking the H means high voltage and the L will mean low voltage, but because we're setting this for a low voltage for it to sound the alarm, our H is actually going to be our low voltage. And I've set him for 20 volts just for this demonstration. So AH is 20 and AL is going to be 21. And what that means is, I'm going to come over here and get out of this whole menu. And now we're back over here to voltage. And you'll notice as I turn my voltage up, alright, that's good. Now if you were driving and your voltage was going down and you have it set for the alarm to come off at 20 volts, we see there's our alarm going off, and our alarm will stay going off until our voltage gets up to where we set AL, which is 21. We set AL for 21. I set them pretty close because you want to be able to take your foot off the go pedal and have the voltage drift back up and then inch your way home without the alarm, driving you crazy. Usually what happens is you're driving along, pretty fast, and all the batteries reach that low threshold, and then the alarm goes off. You take your foot off the go pedal, you wait a minute, and as the batteries rejuvenate from not having the heavy load on, your voltage creeps back up, and then you can go back to driving. Just don't push too hard on the gas pedal and you'll be maybe able to inch your way home. So there we go. Now I'm going to go through real quickly how you set the other stuff up on the meter. The other setup is you plug in the number 36, which why they pick 36, we don't know. And the first thing that comes up is the amps, and that's the shunt. So we set that, and we've got 3 settings. We can be 750 millivolts, we can be 5 amps, and we can be 1 amp. And that all depends on this settings right here. That's the 1 amp. You would do common, and that would be 5 amps, common and 1, and common and 75. So this common is the part on the shunt where your charger, your controller, everything else goes. This 75 millivolts goes toward the side of the shunt that's connected to the battery, and only the battery. So now we come over here to the okay, so we're gonna leave this on 75 millivolts. So I hit enter. Now I come, the next is, if you want to set your thing off, it's at 0, but let's say you wanted 0 to be 100 volts for some reason, then you would go in there and set that. This is the offset depending on the shunt. Now you'll calibrate this to your shunt. This is some kind of ratio. So if you're reading, let's say we hook it all up and our meter reads 20 amps and we know that we're drawing 10, we'd adjust this down probably half. So instead of 300, which is a ratio, we'd go with 150, and that would make our 20 amp reading look like 10, which is what you figured it was. All right, our next one is our dot. Now this, I've got 1 dot on our amps, which depending on, this will change, how many amps you can read. If you put 3, now your meter is very sensitive with reading milliamps, and if you put 0, well, now you can read over 200 amps. Our next one is our voltage, and I have him set for 500. I think if you set him for 200, you got to do some other adjusting. So I have him set on, I'm going to do this just because I've never done it. I'm going to set him down and see. I did do it one time and I didn't get a good reading, and I said, well, that seems odd that it's reading so far off, but that might have been the decimal. And of course he's not happy with his alarm. So yeah, so now I put him on the 100 side. I got to flick him on the 100 side on this, and then I set, and now I'm gonna, okay, so I'm gonna run out of here real quick and look. Yeah, see, our voltage is 108, and why it's so high I'm not sure. So we're going to go back in here and look. Maybe we need a decimal, maybe we need something. So I go back into my 36 so I can get to that menu, and then I come down here to voltage, and we have him set for shunt, and I come over here to pull, he's off. I come here to, oh, okay, so maybe that's what it is. He's set at 500, and I need to set this ratio for 100. All right, and then I'm going to come down one more and the dot, and I'm going to give myself 2 dots just because. All right, now let's get out of here and see how that changed our meter. Yeah, well, it didn't work. The 2 dots messed us up because now we're reading 2.17 instead of 21.7. So I go back in here, 37 or 6, and I scroll through the amperage and into the, and then I set the dot, and I set 1 dot. Who knows what the deal is with that dot stuff? I'll bet we could set this. I'll bet we could set this, instead of 100, we set him for 10, and I'll bet we could get that extra dot in there. But we don't need it, so we're not gonna, that's for other people to experiment with. All right, so there we are, and we're back to our alarm going off like before. And yeah, there it is. That's the meter set up in a nutshell.